as human beings, I feel like each and every one of us, whether we realize it or not, has that one thing that's just lying deep within the depths of our soul, you know? It's kind of stewing and, lying dormant, waiting for that one opportunity to reveal itself, be unleashed upon the world, whether we like it or not. Now, not all these things are bad. Take irrational fear, for example. Jump scare! Sorry, didn't mean to scare you there, but it's just part of the example. Or it might be, you're a happy-go-lucky guy and there's a hidden anger inside of you that only one certain person can bring out of you. For me, it's my neph's son, Thaddeus, always asking me for the Xbox and when is it going to be his turn with the Xbox. It's not going to happen, Thaddeus. Not today, not ever. But all that to say, there is one man, one unstoppable force. Nothing can stop this guy. I've gone through all the research, I've done the homework, and I've come to the conclusion that this man will not be stopped. His ideals are so above us that we can't even begin to comprehend his genius. And I am fully convinced that this man is sniffing all the K-War cocaine. He's smoking oodles and oodles of Maxor meth, and there's no sign of stopping. Not until everything and anything to do with AI is destroyed. So to give a little insight as to what I'm talking about with that goofy intro, if you guys recall, if you guys watched my past couple videos, you will know that we were given an opportunity from Brian Gannon himself to kind of give our feedback regarding the new chaotic card designs via a Google Doc form. And honestly, so far through Facebook, the Discord, all that, I've been seeing a lot of cool different revamps and ideas and reimaginings of these designs and what you guys, again, personally think would look the best for the cards. And I actually plan on a future video doing a little bit of a look at some of the revamps that you guys made of these existing card templates. So if you guys have any of those that you want to share with me that you might not have posted anywhere and, your thoughts on the designs, feel free to send them my way. I would definitely like to highlight those. Kind of want to go through and see which ones are the best, which ones I like personally, and see if I can find ideas or adjustments from all of them and kind of form them into one amalgamation and kind of create the beautiful springing object that we would see as the final card design. I also think you guys have done a brilliant job at, kind of taking the advice of not just myself. I don't claim to take any credit for that, but just the generic advice and mindset that I think people have really gotten into, and I really appreciate and applaud you guys for it. You guys really took your time. At first, I know some of you guys were upset. Some of you guys might have been, a little indifferent, whatever have you, but you guys have been really good about actually leaning fully into this and looking at it in a positive light. So again, shout out to you guys. Give yourselves a nice pat on the back, not too hard or you might, injure yourself, but also I just unplugged my headset with that pat on the back. See the dangers of giving yourself a pat on the back. Just be careful when you're doing it, but you earned it. Give yourself one. Anyway, I won't tarry any longer. I'm done with the donut glazing, if you will. So again, like I said, I was going through Facebook, Reddit, Discord and all that and seeing all these different ideas that you guys had for card revamps. And obviously we are using the, given template that we had for, Maxor, Takinam, all the different cards. We were using that given template and kind of doing slight adjustments to kind of give a realistic look as to what we think that design should look like. And I'm laughing about it, thinking about it now, but there was one guy on Facebook, as I said before, completely unhinged, and I had another video idea, but I just had to talk about it. So if we take a look here, this is the initial post from this man, and it reads as follows. Since none of y'all actually give a shit about actual chaotic and decide to ask AI to do everything, I've decided to make my own mock-up of what I wish the cards looked like. It literally took me 10 minutes and 0 water. You really just want to take an honest-to-God second to sit there and think what this guy's art is going to look like? Hey, buddy, you just blowing from Stupid Town? You're not ready for the Van Gogh experience you're about to get, pal. This guy's cooking with oil and all burners on. Your minuscule ant-sized pea brain isn't ready for what you're about to witness. Here you go. Yeah. Soak it all in. You think AI can do this? Yeah, you think your pathetic Google Gemini, Gronk, and ChatGPT can match up to this? Nah, you're kidding yourselves, buddy. Try again. Why don't you get your head out of the clouds and come back and snap back into reality like the rest of us normal, non-AI using people? You're lucky I'm here. You're lucky that I am here to save you from your imprisonment. You should be saying thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So before I continue with the story and the video as a whole, I'd like to make a quick disclaimer and make it abundantly clear. The point of this video, as you'll find out if you guys will just stay with me here, is not to bash on this guy's artwork and bash on his ideas. Obviously, I am fully aware, and he even stated himself, that it was a 10-minute mock-up, okay? It was a 10-minute mock-up, just a quick little, oh, you know, I can whoop this up and see what I can come up with as, you know, what I personally would like to see. It's not about any of that, right? It's about the fact that people are getting so triggered, you know, and can get triggered like this over, you know, AI as a whole. And if you get one step closer to my chaotic, I'm gonna blow a fuse. It's that type of stuff that I really want to address. You know, people coming out swinging on their left like Mike Tyson. Meanwhile, on their right arm, they got the freaking Ben 10 Omnitrix, dual disc and Beyblade in hand, you know, ready to banish me to the Shadow Realm if I even think about mentioning AI. That's really the core of what I'm trying to get here. Again, he's just kind of the subject here in an example. And, you know, as we go through the rest of this post, you guys will see kind of going through the comments, right? And the replies, they do end up kind of reaching a middle ground. It was one guy in particular talking to the original poster. It just goes to show that everything can just go 0 to 100 instantly when it really doesn't have to. And I just kind of want to spread awareness of what not to do, right? Where we can kind of shift away from and move into a more collaborative side of things, which again, these guys end up finding a common ground. It actually ends up working out pretty great. Anyway, jumping back into the war zone here, you know, the LZ's looking a little hot at the moment, but I think we'll manage. Our second protagonist shows up out of the ashes and gives a speech that only All Might himself, I think, could deliver. Obviously, I'm not going to go through the entire thread here, but to kind of catch you up a little bit, he basically says, "Whoa, buddy, you don't have to whoop out the shank on this one. We're just saying you need to calm down a little." And the guy says, "What? I'm not allowed to have my own opinions?" And he responds with this. What a bizarre response. I didn't say you couldn't have opinions. I said being this level of aggressively against it is cringe. The same level of cringe as people who use it, then talk like they created something. Totally fine to dislike AI. Totally odd to be so triggered by it that you make a cringe call-out post, then whine when people predictably trolled you for it. It's crying over spilt milk, man. Yeah, you have a right to be upset, but it's so strange to be that upset about it. Hope this helps. So kind of the first jumping off point here is, I mean, he's right. You know, I think obviously both sides here shouldn't have lashed out like they did, but there is a merit and point to be made that if you're going to say something aggressive and say something, you know, mean, right? We've had how many people submit their ideas and their own personal revamps of the card templates we've been given. You know, that can hurt hearing that from somebody. You know, if you're, you know, a little weak-skinned type guy, you know, not saying that any of you guys are, but to somebody who has a little bit thinner of an emotional wall, that might really hurt somebody and impact somebody. So I'd almost say this response is definitely a splash of water in the face and kind of a wake-up call. And I definitely don't think he should have worded it that way either. I think both sides here are kind of a little bit both aggressive. But the point being, we don't have, you know, at least I don't have the artistic skill to make up my own mock-ups, right? You know, what the original poster made, you know, as funny as I made that image out to be, I wouldn't even be able to come up with something like that, right? I don't have the skills for it. So personally, I would use AI to achieve a level of something that I wouldn't normally be able to achieve to get my point across. So if, the final version of these chaotic cards comes out and that ends up being based on somebody's who, had to resort to AI to really, kind of get the message across of what actually looks good, I don't personally see a problem with that. It's more so when you use the artwork itself for your final products instead of, paying somebody who has the genuine skills to make that happen and make it a reality. So kind of just to wrap this section up in a bow, it would be both sides I think were wrong, and I think AI has its merits as long as we don't abuse it and as long as we don't let that be at the forefront here, right? No side is better than the other. Obviously, I definitely think most of us would prefer real artists' work, but don't just go, off to the races and just go ahead and bash somebody just because they don't have the skills that, you might necessarily have. So obviously tensions are high here, comments are being slung back and forth between these two dudes, like Dorothy being whipped around to the land of Oz for the 50th time, and out of nowhere, we get a surprise character. Who's that, you might be asking? Who's that Pokemon? You thought I was done introducing characters into this Dragon Ball Z cast. No, you thought it was just Goku and Vegeta kind of just going Super Saiyan on each other. No. We got one more character to introduce here. And boy, howdy, this guy comes in here with a doozy, a plot twist you would never have expected. He actually kind of helps find the middle ground here, and our second guy who ends up giving that, All Might response, he ends up kind of fading into the background because this new guy ends up kind of finding a good, peace offering to offer the original poster. And I think it's where I'd really like to land with the whole point of this video here. So let's go ahead and take a look at his response. I really like your design. I think it fits the vibe of Chaotic really well. I threw it in Gemini and said, polish this up, and made it a trading card to get an idea of what the product could look like. If you put your original design in a photo editor like Illustrator, Photoshop, or some other program, I think the result would be really clean. It goes to show that starting with a unique foundation is very powerful. To which our original poster responds, I'd rather you don't put it into Gemini, actually. But I could work on it. This was more of a mock-up than an actual card design idea. And here is the result of the Gemini upload. Isn't it so cool? I mean, dude, just look at this. From one idea to another, hand-drawn to the simple assist of an AI to refine it and, give a realistic look and inspiration, if they happen to take this idea and run with it, that would be super awesome. I think this is a perfectly good middle ground and a perfectly good, example of just when you decide to actually talk to somebody and have a proper communication rather than just slinging stones back and forth, slinging the 8 poop, you can actually come up with something super awesome. And at the end of all of it, mindsets are changed a little bit. Hearts are melted and, grow 3 sizes like the Grinch. And a few other people actually end up pitching in some more ideas too to really kind of, I don't want to say like settle them down, but just give a new perspective and a new idea as to what they're trying to get across by utilizing this tool that they have access to, whatever it is, Gemini, ChatGPT, whatever you're using. It just goes to show that, people who aren't artists and people who are artists, I'm not musically gifted. I can't play instruments, but I can write lyrics, right? So if I give my lyrics to my brother, he can come up with good instrumentals for it. It's kind of the same principle and same kind of concept that I'm trying to get across here. So if we don't let these two differences, these two sides get at each other, right? And we kind of use it as a collaborative effort to see, have our ideas and our visions seen as reality, I think it can produce good fruit here, right? As opposed to just bickering back and forth. So all that to say, I think if we all come together, looking at it as a community and a collective, if you will, If we just would be a little bit more open and a little bit more understanding and compassionate towards each other's, different perspectives and opinions, I think Chaotic will be in such a good spot as the launch comes out, right? You have the one guy who's not as artistically gifted, maybe, kind of pitching in with the, hey, here's a gift and an enhanced look and a realistic view of what your idea come to life looks like. And then you have the guy at the center of it all, the original poster, using his talents and his imagination to come up with a clever concept, just from a simple 10-minute mock-up. I mean, that was super impressive to look at and just see the result that came from it. And who knows, it might be used for, or inspire the final results. Who knows? We'll have to see. But I think it's just a super cool thing to see when one person has, compassion and a softness of heart versus two people running into each other at 110 miles an hour. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had for the video. Speaking of that good one-on-one, warm and fuzzy, getting close and cuddly dialogue, being nice to each other, I'd love to see your guys' mock-ups. As I stated at the beginning, I'd love to do a video potentially, in the next couple days where I kind of go over y'all's ideas and mock-ups that you guys had for these suggested changes based on the Google Doc form. Again, if it's still available, I'll have it in the description down below. But whether it is hand-drawn like the Mona Lisa of our day or AI generated, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we're trying to all work together for the one thing that we love, and that is Chaotic. So yeah, shoot them my way. I'd love to see them. And as always mentioned in each and every video that you watch, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you have any Chaotic news that I might not be aware of, make sure to let me know as well. I kind of suck at sleuthing in that way. And yeah, until next time, God bless. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Love y'all. Peace out.